Welcome to 6 Minutes for Monday, June 13th. I'm Jason Fulmore, SE Wrestle. Today we talk junior and girls duels out in Oklahoma. Those teams are heading their way today. Action begins on Wednesday. Let's actually jump right to the schedule. And as you can see, Junior Greco and Junior Girls Freestyle kick off on Wednesday, June 15th. They'll both wrestle an opening pool of matches, and then from there advance to the placement matches or the placement pool on Thursday. Junior Greco wraps up on Thursday. Junior Girls also wrap up on Thursday, and then they move right to Friday, June 17th, where the Junior Boys kick off their freestyle, and the 14U girls will wrestle their duels. I don't think that there are any 14U girls dual teams from the Southeast competing. I could be wrong, but these are the rosters that I got, so I'm going to assume that there aren't any 14Us. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below or drop me a message on social media. All right, so let's jump right to let's start with the girls first, and the North Carolina girls are up first, and as you can see, we've got seven: Martha Dominguez, Teresa Canaday, all the way down Addison. What you may notice is a few names missing. Haley Misplay was an All-American last year for Team North Carolina. Reagan Riddick was close to being an All-American last year in Fargo. Both of them are not on the list. I know Reagan is still banged up from an injury, so that could explain that. But as we go through these different rosters and talk about these different teams, some of the names that you might miss or might be missing could be because of injuries, could be because they're simply not going to the duels. Maybe they're focusing on Fargo, or maybe they're going somewhere else. So that's Team North Carolina girls. Like I've said with the other previews that I've done, they're going to forfeit a lot of weights. And as a result, probably as a team, they're going to struggle. Not going to be able to get those wins. But that doesn't mean that there won't be some individuals that perform really, really well. So jumping from North Carolina, let's go to the Georgia girls. And look at that roster. That is impressive by Team Georgia. In fact, I believe that Team Georgia has enough, and they are fielding two teams. They're obviously missing a second 225 for whichever the other team is. But otherwise, man, that's a good group. That's a tough group of girls from Georgia. It'll be really interesting to see how well they do. I don't know. And again, if you're new to the girls and duels and Fargo and all those sorts of things, and this isn't Fargo, but we're going to use that as a measuring stick. Team California will come in with a hefty crew, and Team Texas will probably have a really good contingent as well. But Georgia's bringing in some people, and these girls should be very, very competitive. Looking down, you see Lisa Glimpf at 117. She's signed with Life. She's the Tricia Saunders Award winner this year for the state of Georgia. So she is a senior that's getting ready to head to college, but she's on the dual team, which is pretty cool. You also see May Prado, Genevieve Vaughn, Jade Massa. You see a ton of girls on this team that have been very, very competitive and probably should help Team Georgia be in the hunt. I fully expect one of the Team Georgia teams to be right there battling it out with everyone else. All right, let's jump to Team Florida. And again, you see a really healthy team. Now, not nearly as many girls, but remember, they're not trying to field two teams like Team Georgia is. But I think they have a wrestler in every single weight class. Certainly very tough down low. Mary Manus, Claire Bowie, both are exceptionally good. Gabrielle Perez, I'm really interested to see how she wrestles. Maya Bethel, who who won a state title in Florida this first year for girls to wrestle for state titles in Florida. I'm really interested to see how she wrestles. Henley Haynes and both Henley Haynes and Alyssa Favara are nationally ranked at 180, and that's something nice to have up there at the top, where you can rely on some of them. And I fully expect Florida to be in the hunt as well. They can't afford to get nicked up. You go down one or two weights, and things can go sideways in a duel. So it's going to be really important. But they only have to wrestle 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. So getting 8 matches in freestyle, it'll be really interesting to see both Team Florida and Team Georgia and see how they do. All right, so let's go to Team Tennessee, which is our final girls team. And I say our final girls team because I know Team Alabama is not going, which is a real shame. But I was a little surprised that maybe Team South Carolina might have a team, and I wasn't able to track that down. If they do, please let us know. Otherwise, here we are with Team Tennessee. And Team Tennessee, as you look at the duels, or as you look at the weight classes, there's obviously multiple in certain weight classes. Both Megan and Abby are wrestling 132. Madison, Asliana are both wrestling 117, so on and so forth. But that probably means that they're going to have a few forfeits in their lineup as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how Team Tennessee does, more on an individual level than as a team. One of the things that's again, I throw out names because Genesis Gilmore is a returning Fargo runner-up. I don't know if she's out for one reason or another. I think Maggie Graham is out because of an injury right now. But what that does is that's tough on the team, but it affords an opportunity for somebody else to step in, and show that they can handle the responsibility of leading the team and the state moving forward. So wrapping up girls really quick, look for Team Georgia, Team Florida as teams to really push for a top 8 finish. I fully expect it. All right, jumping to the boys, and let's see here. Let's go back to Tennessee. Starting with Tennessee, since we did the girls last, we'll start with them on the boys side. And as you can see from this roster, this is a good group. It's nice to have Cooper Hilton there at 120. He's sharing time with Bentley Ellison. Carson Duple and his brother Colin Duple are in the lineup. Sammy Shires is in the lineup. This from top to bottom, Tennessee's got a really good team, and it looks like they have multiple at the same weight, which is going to be huge for them. Huge. If you looked at their cadet team, their 14U team, their ability to kind of rest some people, the ability to plug in as necessary, really served their team well. And that is the case here. The other thing that's really awesome about Team Tennessee's list here is that you've got Kodiak Kennedy, Justin Bradford. There might be others. Aiden Bowers on this list. They're seniors. They're done. I mean, they don't. A lot of seniors take the duels in Fargo and they don't wrestle after their senior season, after they've graduated. But Team Tennessee got them on their team. That is fantastic for Team Tennessee. It's nice to have that consistency and that leadership. So I fully expect Team Tennessee to be pushing. That's pretty cool. All right, let's jump over to Team Alabama. And Team Alabama's roster is really interesting. You see 2 holes. I think you see 2 holes. I know you see one at 113. 220, I don't think that's a hole. I think that I missed it somehow and wasn't able to pull it. If somebody can let me know, we'll try to add it back in on the graphic. But one of the things about Team Alabama that's super interesting, really looking for Isaiah Poe. I think he's one of the best 138s in the country. Really interested to see how Isaiah does as he competes against some of the top other 138s juniors around. From top to bottom, Team Alabama should be tough. The one challenge that Team Alabama has is they don't have a whole lot of backup. They do in certain weights. You see 160, 170, 195. That's great. That's great. 138, 145. That's great as well. But boy, you can't afford. Cale Tucker's going to be super tough at 106. Marcus Wright, Hudson Waldrop, Chad Strickland, they're all going to wrestle really tough. But if any of them go down, man, 2 forfeits in a row somewhere down there is going to be a tough thing to overcome in a very, very competitive junior duels. All right, jumping on, let's go to Team Florida. And Team Florida, the one thing that I mentioned about Tennessee is the same thing I feel about Team Florida. And that is you see Brennan Van Hoke, you see Brendan Abden, you see wrestlers that have already committed. They're going to go wrestle in D1 next fall. They're on this team. They're here to lead the way for Team Florida to make top 8. That is huge. Ethan Vergara, another one. Fantastic to have their leadership on this team. Cooper Haas is there. Sawyer Bartelt is there. Anderson Heat pulling, and Christian Fretwell, both pulling double duty. Both just got back from cadet duels, turning right back around, heading out to Oklahoma to help Team Florida try to make a top 8 appearance out in Oklahoma. I think they've got a real shot. It's going to be really interesting. All right, Team Georgia. You can see a ton of names with Team Georgia. The one thing that it's a little bit of a struggle for Team Georgia, for me, and I don't want to rant on it, but we don't, we're not seeing Singleton and Horn and Henson and Filipowicz and Killick and all these individuals that really could help Team Georgia really push for a junior duels title. That leaves it to another group to step up, a younger group. I don't know that I see a whole lot of seniors that have graduated on this list. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, you still have Drew Gorman. You still have Amari Alvarez. You still have some really, really good wrestlers who are going to push and help Team Georgia be in the hunt and battle it out. Dom DiDamaso, it's so nice to see him back on the mat. He is a senior that has graduated, but has been out for a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how Georgia wrestles. Latrell Schaefer, Latrell's going to be in the hunt for a spot on the podium in Fargo, no doubt. It's going to be really interesting to see how Team Georgia fares. This is the next group. Can they replicate the success of the seniors that have just graduated and push Team Georgia into the top 8? All right, Team North Carolina. Team North Carolina, the one challenge for me for Team North Carolina is maybe some of the things that I see with what we just talked about with Team Georgia, and that is, we're not seeing a Carson Floyd, we're not seeing a Nathan Carnes, we're not seeing a Kyle Monteperto, we're not seeing some of those top level North Carolina wrestlers that are either heading into their senior year or are finishing up. We don't have Jeremiah Price on this list, and so on and so forth. That is not to take away from any of the wrestlers on this list. I see plenty that I think will be Joey Baisley, Noah Takaban, who will push and really wrestle well. But how well will they do as a team is really going to be pretty interesting. The other challenge is they are missing a 6 down low. They are missing a 195, although maybe one of the 182s can jump in. So it'll be interesting to see how Team North Carolina battles. And I fully expect someone in this group will end up 6-2, 7-1, or 8-0 over the span of the 2 days in Greco or freestyle. But it'll be interesting to see who shows out and makes it. All right, Team South Carolina. This was pulled from a Facebook post. I never got a hold of Team South Carolina for the boys, juniors. I don't know if this is the right lineup or this is the final lineup for Team South Carolina. The one name that pops off as I look at this group is Teague Strobel. Teague has had a really fantastic spring. Has wrestled super well all over the place, and yeah, I can't wait to watch him wrestle. William Jakeway has Fargo experience, wrestling last year up in Fargo. Juniors are a whole other level than the cadets were last year, though. So it'll be interesting to see how they do and how Team South Carolina does overall. All right, so that is your girls and your junior duels preview for this week. Wrestling starts on Wednesday. Look back or check back in for some updates on results, Greco, girls, freestyle, as we get later in the week, like I've been doing for the other ones. Yeah, so last thing I would say is look at this tweet from Ben Cooter from Iowa. Boy, you love this kind of senior leadership. He's off to the University of Iowa. He's a world team member, and they are all in. Team Iowa is all in on trying to run it back and win another junior dual title, which I think is fantastic. Love to see that. Watch them and many of the Team Iowa guys when they're down at Elite Eight. And yeah, they're hungry. They're ready to show that they're better than everyone else. So yeah. Anyway, so check it out. It should be a lot of fun. What else do you need to know today? Schoolboy Duels wrapped up freestyle yesterday. Hoping to drop that soon. I just dropped Kyle Monteperto's my interview with Kyle Monteperto for his Dave Schultz Award earlier today. So check that out. Gonna flip back over. I've got a couple more to drop over the course of this week. It should be a lot of fun. And yeah, later this week we'll talk about Disney Duels. Ton going on. Check back in, see what's going on. See ya. Bye.